What's up, guys? So I'm back at it again with yet another Devon Explains entry, and today we are going to go over one of my favorite types of videos to make, off the dome versus battles. Since I basically know every piece of power scaling for the Monsterverse by heart, I can just talk to you about Titan X versus the Muto Prime. Now, this is a matchup that is obviously going to be very, very interesting. Now, I do not engage with the cesspool of degenerate, mindless, moth sexualizing Monsterverse fans, so I don't know if this is a heated topic yet or not. It eventually will be, because every new villain has to fight the Muto Prime, because obviously nobody could beat Ghidorah. And regardless of that, Titan X is still ultimately somebody who I compared to the Muto Prime even in her own video. After all, the Muto Prime is sort of the gatekeeper for the mid-tiers of the verse.
No, the Prime is not a high tier.
High tiers are people like Ghidorah, Shimo, and Godzilla.
Muto Prime is not at that level.
You can cry me a river regardless.
Muto Prime versus Titan X. Now, Titan X already got a full 60-minute video talking about her, and the Muto Prime hasn't had that sort of treatment in, I think, a year. So I'm gonna go over the Muto Prime scaling first, and then we will gloss over what we need for Titan X. Now, the Muto Prime, as we see her with her best feats, is supercharged. She has been amplifying herself with power plants. This is stated by Arvid, the writer of the comics, that she was souping herself up on power plants and that she became the strongest Muto Prime of all time. Not that she returned to being it, meaning that she did get stronger in some way, shape, or form. And while she was doing all of this, she was at the same time weakening Godzilla, such that a weakened Muto Prime would lose to a full power G14, and then a buffed Muto Prime would have a long, arduous battle against a weakened G14. Mind you, everything about the Muto Prime is perfectly made to battle G14 and to weaken him. She has durability negation against him, she has the perfect body parts to fight against him, her punches use earthquakes, which I guess those work on Godzilla, and she generally is just made to be the perfect counter. And even so, Godzilla on panel and within the lore has a very, very close fight with the Muto Prime until she uses her durability negation to end the fight. Now, I do realize that a lot of the panels that I've just shown are actually the last two battles of the comic, but at that point Godzilla is already weakened, and by the second fight he still is weakened. And even during the second fight, even after Godzilla has had his spines broken, he can still overpower the Muto Prime, though she was distracted, lift her up, use a pulse on her, and then, most importantly, he can crush her skull with a single good stomp. You could say that her armor is weakened from having this immense blast hit her. You could say that, but Godzilla crushed her entire skull. He one-shot her with a stomp. You couldn't really say that this pulse made her like 9 times less fragile or something, because it might as well have killed her. It didn't kill her. Godzilla's stomp did. This is an extremely weakened stomp. When it comes to physical abilities, she is ultimately just weaker than a full power Godzilla. And the way that Arvid talks about it, he's just talking about the Muto Prime in general, and thus this should include even the supercharged, enhanced Muto Prime, which is consistent with the fact that even while Godzilla is weakened, he can still go relative against the Muto Prime, and he can still somewhat overpower her in some ways, though ultimately they are pretty relative. Again, a weakened G14 versus a superpowered Muto Prime who is using hacks and who is made perfectly to fight against Godzilla, and Godzilla has never fought a Muto Prime before, and yet Godzilla still has a long, arduous battle against her. I am repeating myself over and over so that you understand the Muto Prime physically is perfectly made to fight Godzilla, and even so, she needed to weaken him while buffing herself up to then have an extremely high def battle against Godzilla, which she only won, quote unquote, by having durability negation. And even with that, Godzilla still had the strength to one-shot a weakened Muto Prime's head. The Muto Prime is not a high tier. She she does do better than GVK Kong ever did against C21, but she is in that ballpark of just being a Titan who can fight weakened Godzilla, which isn't what you would expect, because a lot of people will tell you that the Muto Prime is beating full power Godzilla, or that the Muto Prime is at the level of Ghidorah, or that the Muto Prime could
Make Shimo feel any.
She's not on that level. Arvid himself says it. She's not supposed to be a super powerful Mega Titan. She is just made to kill Godzilla. And part of that is the ability to know that she can't fight Godzilla, and thus she buffs herself, weakens him, and continues to be a little rat about it. Titan X, by comparison, fights an even stronger Godzilla at full power and is just as strong as him, a little teeny tiny bit faster, has more attack potency and more durability. She is not affected by his physical attacks, and she can remove skin from him. And every single touch that she has on him, every single strike, makes Godzilla scream in pain. Allow me to put this into perspective. Titan X fights G18 a single year before he becomes G19, and thus pretty much at the same level as G19 in terms of physical power, speed, durability, and general strength. And Titan X is just as strong as him, a little bit faster, if not just as fast, and she has far greater durability than Godzilla's attack potency, and she can hurt Godzilla more than even weakened Antarctica Ghidorah ever did. Okay? Compare that against the Mucha Prime fighting a weakened version of G14 who is at full power, weaker than Legacy of the Monsters Godzilla, and she herself is buffed and has hacks, and still she has an extremely long, tough battle against Godzilla. And given that she is specifically made to fight Godzilla, her hacks, while still effective on other Titans, aren't as effective as they would be on Godzilla. And we already know that Titan X can take massive punishment from some of the strongest Titans in the entire verse, Kong and Godzilla. So Titan X should be able to withstand Mucha Prime's earthquakes and even her sonic roar, at least long enough to be able to rip the Mucha Prime to shreds. Godzilla's Stomp is a fight-finishing, enemy-killing move. Godzilla's Tail Whip is also a fight-finishing, enemy-killing move. This is a Mucha Prime getting her skull crushed by a single stomp from the most weakened version of G14 that we ever see, versus Titan X getting full-body tail whipped by the strongest version of Legacy of the Monsters Godzilla. You can see how one of these guys has a much easier time taking that attack.
Right.
Ultimately, Titan X is just too strong, too fast, too durable, and too powerful for the Mucha Prime, and even if the Mucha Prime's hacks are relevant enough to be able to hurt Titan X significantly, Titan X can regenerate over time, and believe me, the Mucha Prime cannot take advantage of those injuries fast enough. At the end of the day, strength, speed, and power always surpass any amount of hacks or skill in the entirety of the Monsterverse, and even strength alone, as we see with Godzilla, is more than enough to surpass many opponents.